We welcome you to Phillies Postgame Live, presented by our friends at Cure Auto Insurance, along with Ricky Bottalico. I'm Michael Barkan, John Kruk in a moment. Ricky Bo, this series was to represent where these two teams stood at this point in the season with respect to each other and with respect to their place in the division and the league, if you will. And looking at this, and we heard Joe Girardi say at the outset of this series, these games are important. The Mets look a lot better than the Phillies.
And the whole reality of the thing, you started your season with a 6-game homestand. You ended up 3-3 on the homestand against a poor Oakland A's team. I think is going to be a poor Oakland A's team, and a Mets team that let's face it, first game got a little lucky. Came back in the ball game, ended up winning with a 5-run 8th inning, and then the rest of the series has been pretty ugly. I look at this game, and I will say this much. You watch a lot of baseball. 16 free passes, the combined teams today. Yeah. That was 4 hits batters, 3 by the Phillies, 1 by the Mets, and then the rest were walks. That is horrible. This looked as though it was two teams playing in a spring training game that didn't mean anything. That's what it looked like from both sides. Max Scherzer was not spectacular, but he knew how to get out of trouble. Aaron Nola did not know how to get out of trouble again. I thought, his control, again. I mean, this is a guy that when you get 0-2 counts or 1-2 counts, you have to put people away. If you're a number 1, number 2 starter in the Major League Baseball, you have to know how to put hitters away. Aaron is struggling mightily with that whole concept. And to not get into the 5th inning today, that's an issue for me.
All right. Let's see if it's an issue for John Kruk as we go across the street. John called the game with Tom McCarthy. Of course, the Phillies were great. And, John, I understand that there's still 95% of this season left. I'll repeat what Joe said, Joe Girardi, at the outset of this series. These games are important. The Mets all over the Phillies. I never really thought the Phillies were in it, even as they closed the gap. What do you make of this?
I mean, look, game 1 was exciting in this series. They came back. It might have been a different story if Diaz was available, game 1. But, look, they got the win, big comeback, and then the last 2 games have just been ugly. The Mets have come up with big hits. The Phillies have not really come up with those big hits in these last 2 games. And I agree with Ricky. Scherzer wasn't great. But when he needed to make a pitch, he made a pitch. Aaron wasn't that great command-wise, and when he needed to make a pitch, it just wasn't there. And that's why they lost 2 out of 3 in this series against the Mets.
Stargazing, presented by our friends at Deborah Heart and Lung Center, and we featured Nick Castellanos pregame. Let me see, Nick, 2 for 4, 2 doubles, run scored, and a run batted in. Meanwhile, Joe Girardi is making some roster moves. That's the first subject on the docket for the skipper postgame.
So we just made a couple moves. So we optioned Brogdon, we optioned Damon Jones. James Norwood will be reinstated from the bereavement list, and we'll have another move tomorrow. I just don't have it yet.
Pitcher, you think?
Oh, I think we'll have 2 pitchers, yeah.
How is Gene?
Gene, he is better. He got hit on forearm and on the bone, and his hand kind of went numb, so we took him out. The feelings is coming back. He's day to day. Just have to see how he is tomorrow.
You guys hit 5 of their guys the last 2 days, 3 situations earlier today.
Yeah, I don't think any of them were intentional from either side. It's the game right now. We hit him with a couple breaking balls, and so there's no ill will on my part. I hate to see our guy get plucked and come out of the game, but I don't necessarily think it was on purpose.
You don't usually see Nola fall behind as many guys as he did.
Yeah,
just kind of one of those days, or
one of those days, I think. I think pitchers are going to go through some of this in the first few weeks just because of the buildup. And you're going to see some inconsistencies, and you hope it doesn't happen to your guys and it happens to the other guys, but he'll bounce back.
What have you seen from Schwarber since that first home run? He's really struggled.
You know, it just seems like he's a click off here or there. It's 20 at bats, 25 at bats. I'm not too worried about it.
You guys had Scherzer on the ropes there in the first
Yeah.
inning, able to cash in. Is that deflating?
Yeah. I mean, that's, that was probably the difference in the game. We weren't able to get that one hit maybe to really extend him and, maybe even knock him out of the game if we could have kept the inning going. But, Max has been doing this for a long time, and he's clever and he knows how to pitch, and he got out of the inning.
Picking up 2 hits off of him has to be probably a compliment.
Yeah, he swung the bat really well for the last year and a half or whatever, and he's continuing to do it.
What do you make of the homestand? Split the homestand.
Yeah.
Not a lot of offense. I know it's early, but some good
It's not what we wanted. But again, we have a long ways to go, and I think that offensively we'll get going and we'll be a different team. And we have a tough schedule that we have to figure out how to get through, and guys have to perform at a high level. But I really like that group in there. Even today, 8-1, we're still grinding and trying to give ourselves a chance to win the game.
Hey, I know Alec has played first base before and everything, but I was just kind of curious, why you put him in at first, rather than third after Gene left.
Yeah, it's just a choice that I made. Give him a little time. Sometimes it's best to put a player right back in the situation. Sometimes it's good to give him a little time and let him work, right? So that's what we're trying to do. And he's playing really well. He's swinging the bat extremely well, and we're going to get him back out there.
Joe Girardi doesn't seem too concerned about his team's lot right now. Option Connor Brogdon, option Damon Jones, recall James Norwood. Gene Segura is basically okay. He's day-to-day, said he's starting to get feeling back in his wrist. He was hit by a pitch. Read the vibe. What are you seeing and hearing from Joe Girardi?
I think I feel like he thinks his team's a little bit behind right now. And I'm talking time-wise. I'm not talking anything else. It sounded to me like he feels like this is going to happen with the pitchers, like it did with Aaron Nola. But you know what? The other teams are in the same boat. You got to start winning games. That's the bottom line.